Every day, and it's a harrowing experience. The best thing I can say about Cassandra is she suffers no fools, I'll promise you that. All right, so now, the guest of honor. So before we bring him up, I just want to tell you a couple things. I got to know Kyle. I was fortunate enough, Kyle and his girlfriend came out to my ranch and hunted some hogs, and we had some fun, smoked some cigars, and really got to know Kyle. And this kid is very genuine. It's interesting to see how the media has portrayed him, because it's completely false. And you're going to see it for yourself. Kyle has a huge heart. And Kyle is a very articulate young man for 20 years old. Now, can you imagine going through what he has gone through at 20 years old? The poor man, because he is a man, you can't even imagine what his life's like. He can't go to a college party. Maybe he'll tell you that story tonight. He tries to enroll in a university, and they blackball him. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. The stories that you heard, probably I'm going to let him talk, because he needs to tell it more than I do. But I will tell you this. Some of the things that, even though Kyle was acquitted, it's one of the most grievous injustices, the way this went down. And you're not going to have time to probably hear the whole thing tonight. But I will tell you this. We have a very corrupt government, folks, like you didn't know that already. But look, help me welcome up our special guest and give him a warm Conroe, Texas welcome for Kyle Rittenhouse.
All right, folks, I know that we all want to hear from Kyle, and so we are going to be doing this interview style, because this is the Rally Against Censorship. And so when I thought about what I wanted to ask Kyle, I really wanted to focus on censorship and how it's affected his life. So did you want to say anything to start with?
Thank you, everybody, for coming out. Thank you, David, for introducing me, and we're going to start talking about censorship.
Absolutely. So, obviously, Kyle, censorship, both tech, media, government, played a really big role in the lies that have been told about you. And they're still being spread about you. Would you say that censorship, explain how censorship has kind of played a role?
Absolutely. So censorship has played a major role in my case, my life. Being censored, from my supporters being taken off of Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, their voices not being heard, people only allowed to spread hate about me on that social media. That's how censorship has played a huge role in it.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but Facebook routinely allows people to post links to, other people's legal defense funds, including members of Antifa. Can you tell me a little bit more about kind of your experience with the people who supported you that actively had an effect on your case?
Absolutely. So Give, Send, Go supported me majorly. They helped me raise a lot of money during my trial to help pay for that. GoFundMe did not allow that. GoFundMe took down a donation page made for me in the beginning. People were not allowed to donate through that platform. Facebook removed any messages for support, but Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg actually went out and called me a mass murderer in a video. He defamed me in that. They didn't allow people to say I did nothing wrong. TikTok didn't allow things for support. Instagram, Twitter, people were removed off of these platforms for supporting me.
So you just talked about the messages. So are you saying that even in private messages that people were not allowed to express support for you?
Absolutely. I was blacklisted on these social media platforms. Nobody was allowed to support me.
And we're talking about Mark Zuckerberg, who obviously I have a little bit of experience. I've never met him directly. But tell me what it was like watching one of the world's richest, most powerful men call you a mass murderer when at the time, I believe, you hadn't even been to trial yet.
Absolutely. I don't know if he saw the videos or not, but that was not mass murder. That was self-defense. And he attacked me.
say that I speak for myself and I speak for Defiance Press, and I think I speak for everyone except for maybe a few hostile media in this room, that we are very glad that you're still here with us today. So tell me about what kind of information was sort of kept from the public that you felt like they should have known about your case. And did you ever worry that the fact that accurate information wasn't getting out, and in fact, blatantly false information was being reported? Were you ever worried about how that would have impacted your criminal trial?
A little bit, but I knew God was on my side. I knew He was watching over me. And I knew He was
So tell me though, you know, your faith brought you through this, but surely there must have been some points where you were worried, you know, even as a person of faith, where there are outside forces. Of course, great things happen to wonderful people, you know, good people of faith. So tell me more about that.
Absolutely. When I saw the media attacks and the media saying that I shot black people, or saying I went down there across state lines to open fire at a BLM protest and I see all these false narratives, I was like, wow, what if people actually believe this? If the media won't look at the facts, what if the general public won't look at the facts? These are the people that the public is getting their information from. They're lying to people, and they're doing it with easily accessible video.
And of course, during that time, you know, obviously you weren't active on social media. How frustrating was it for you? I can only imagine. Tell me what that was like, that you felt like you didn't even have a voice during that time.
It was scary. I'm glad I had some people out there defending me and speaking the truth, such as my great attorneys, Mark Richards, Coach Schropps, and Natalie Wisco. But just seeing that the media is trying to get away with everything they're saying, and that some people are believing them. Some people believe what they are telling them, and they buy into it. I got told a story the other day from a friend of mine who knows Kevin Hart, and he was asking Kevin Hart about what he thought, and Kevin Hart was like, oh, isn't he the guy that shot the black people? And he had to educate him on what happened.
Wait, so are you talking about the actor Kevin Hart?
Yes. I heard this story like 2 days ago, and I thought it would be a good one to tell. Like, he had no idea what happened, and thought I shot black people.
That's so wild to me. So how long, just refresh my memory, how long has it been since you were acquitted?
I was acquitted on November 19th of 2021.
And over a year later, a major Hollywood actor, so somebody who's...
There's several Hollywood actors that think I shot black people, that continue to defame me. Some are willing to listen to the facts and sit down and figure things out, watch the video, but some don't care. They continue to lie to their audience of 1 million plus followers.
That has to be just incredibly frustrating. So now, was it only the media, or I know we talked a little bit about how Facebook was involved, but talk a little bit more about how not only the mainstream media has perpetuated these continual lies, just flat out falsehoods, not even things that can be misinterpreted, black and white facts. Tell me how the tech companies really kind of affected that as well.
Well, somebody hacked into Give-Send-Go and they doxed their donor list. I don't know if you remember that, where police officers a police officer got fired from his job. Because somebody doxed Give-Send-Go and didn't agree with the message he posted. And that's what the media could do. They showed up to his house, and I think his name was Lieutenant William Kelly. They knocked on his door, and he got fired from the police department in, I think it was in Norfolk, Virginia. So that's another example of how the media is ruining other people's lives, doxing people, not telling the truth because they don't want to see me get a fair trial.
And so, just to kind of be sure that we're telling the full story, did this police lieutenant say anything that, would warrant that kind of backlash?
I don't recall exactly what it says, but it doesn't matter. He donated anonymously. He has the First Amendment right to say whatever he wants.
So they went, the media, absolutely. So this police lieutenant exercised his right to donate anonymously to your campaign. And for that, just to be clear, people who are against you, doxed, give, send, and go, put this information out to the public and attempted to ruin this man's life.
Absolutely. And then there's pictures of this police chief marching with Black Lives Matter, holding BLM signs up, while that police officer was fired for supporting me.
That's wild, because I absolutely think that, you know, the police chief, if he wants to make a political statement, he should be able to. But I think one of the issues of why we're here talking is that everybody deserves First Amendment rights.
Absolutely.
And so that goes into kind of how the media and the tech companies are doing it. But this has even bigger ramifications, because at the end of the day, the First Amendment is a mandate to the government, right? Like Southern Star Brewery, they canceled us. It was kind of, pardon my language, of a shitty move. But they have a right to do it as a business. But can you tell us, you know, how did the state, or like the FBI, or any of the law enforcement organizations, or the people prosecuting you, did they ever withhold any information that would have helped you in a court of law?
Yes, so there was a drone video during my trial that the state had, and we didn't get it until about halfway through my trial. I know some of you guys probably remember that whole fiasco. There was also FBI surveillance video flying from a plane, and the state gave us a decompressed version of it, which the state used a software called Handbrake to compress that file and then send it over to us. And that was part of something that I don't think was fair. I don't think that they had the enhanced version, they had the good version of it. We did not.
Can you just elaborate a little bit more on that? Because just in case people, I know that I watched the trial, I do remember a little bit of that, but let's just refresh everybody's memory on how the state, who absolutely, more than any media organization, tech company, has an obligation to uphold the First Amendment, and how that affected not only you in the court of law, but essentially in the court of public opinion as well.
So the state came up with their own narrative. I can't get too much into details with it because I am being sued. So I can't get too much into that, but they came up with this whole false narrative that isn't true. And they were using this drone video to say that this is what happened when we know that's not what happened, and we proved that that's not what happened. And they tried to change the public narrative saying, I chased somebody down. I don't know if you remember that, when I'm on video being chased down, but they tried to use the drone video to do that and tried to sway the jury when that's just not true.
How did that that has to shape your opinion on government? How would you say that kind of affected just your overall worldview? Because I know when I was your age, you know, I briefly told the story of why I ended up joining the military. I had a very kind of rosy-eyed view of the world when I was your age. Tell me how, when you experience something like that, how it affects you.
I was ticked off because this is our government. They're supposed to uphold the Constitution. They're supposed to tell the truth. And I, as a citizen, I deserve the right to a fair trial. And I don't think I was given a fair trial in that instance when the state was lying and they weren't presenting all the facts as they were. It wasn't my fault that they had bad facts. They're the ones that chose to charge me.
Absolutely. And do you think that because, you know, maybe they didn't have a case that was strong enough for a court of law, that they tried to then take this to the court of public opinion?
I think so. I think they tried to use a lot of things to sway the public opinion. Sorry, I'm getting told my microphone wasn't close to my face. So, what was I saying? Sorry. Yes, I absolutely do think that they tried to sway the public opinion. I think that them putting stuff out there, them lying, them filing motions, were trying to maybe influence a potential juror member into convicting me.
And last I checked, I know we have a lot of lawyers in the room. I don't think the court of public opinion is valid in a criminal case. Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay. So you kind of mentioned that you were being sued. So what battles are you still fighting lately?
I'm being sued in the Eastern District of Wisconsin by the family of Anthony Hero.
So you're still fighting this. Do you think that the media has, after the acquittal, do you think that they are still trying to put out inaccurate information about you?
I know they're still putting out inaccurate information, like Houston Chronicle. I know they are. They put out a bunch of inaccurate information. Same with Washington Post. I think they're somewhere in here.
We've got a lot of our good friends in the media
I know
out
they-
here tonight.
I know, like, the lawsuit isn't getting reported on very much. People aren't reporting on it. I think it's another attack because they know I have a lot of supporters who will help me fight this, but they're not pushing any of my fundraising in the media. They're not talking about it. They just wanted to be silent about it.
Well, because also, correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like they've kind of let people run with this, now that we've had a chance to talk and I've gotten to know you a little bit, assumption that you're this like rich dude now.
I am not this rich dude.
So, now after being acquitted, and we're over a year out from this, surely you must have thought that that was the end of your battle, or did you anticipate this being a continual battle that would be going to the point where people are raging and venues are canceling over you just being at a essentially private speaking engagement?
No, not really. Like, I knew there was going to be a little bit of a battle, but I didn't know it was going to be to the point to where if I post something on my Twitter, the entire left is going to blow up and try to cancel a speaking engagement event for me and for Defiance Press, and heads were exploding because I posted it. They were like, no, this can't happen, cancel this, and Southern Star Brewery saying they're not going to host us, which was ridiculous. It's their right to do so, but I don't agree with it because they said they were apolitical, but they hosted other things that were pretty political in my opinion.
Yeah, our friends at Texas, I remember the CEO said it was Texas they had a problem with, but I believe we found some pictures of Southern Star Brewery hosting a Texas event, which is an odd statement for them to make.
Yeah, I think I saw a picture.
So, do you think that even now that you've been acquitted, and with everything else, and you have a lot of eyes on you still around the world, do you still feel like you are still having trouble getting the truth out?
Yes, I think so. I believe my social media is still a little bit censored, especially on Instagram. I can't seem to really grow that many followers there, but on Twitter, after my shadow ban was lifted, I'm doing pretty good on Twitter. Instagram, I get no traction. I can't really promote anything. I can't promote anything on Twitter. I go to boost a post. It doesn't let me boost it on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. So I do think I'm still being censored in that way.
Elon, fix it. We know you pay attention. But that's crazy. So you feel that these platforms are still hindering you from being able to raise money for your legal defense even now, because your entire adult life has basically been spent fighting court battles.
Yeah, ever since I was 17. I got acquitted and it was a short breath of relief, and then I was served with a lawsuit.
Tell me, how did that feel when you were served? After did you anticipate the lawsuit, or were you kind of like, oh, here we go again?
I'm not going to talk much about that because I actually wasn't physically served, so
okay.
I'm not going to talk because we're fighting that battle right now, but I wasn't physically served with the lawsuit.
But were you surprised that you're still having to fight legal battles later?
To be sued again? Yeah. But no, I was just like, when I found out that I am being sued again, I was like, again, this is ridiculous.
Just as a young person who's starting to get their life off the ground, how does it feel that despite everything you've been through, despite being found innocent, despite everything that's come out, that people seem to pay attention to you in a way that honestly, even though I've been in this media landscape for a while, I have truly never seen before. How does that make you feel? Like, talk about some of the crazy things that have caused you to trend on Twitter, for instance.
So I was at SHOT Show just recently. National Association for Gun Rights had me out at their booth, and I was trending that entire week. I was like, how is this even possible? And I have no idea why half the time I was trending, but some of it was because of Southern Star Brewery, the other was because of another venue that canceled me. So Southern Star isn't the first venue that canceled me. The Venetian, the Oak Room there, they weren't going to host me for an event there. We ended up not doing that event there. It's unfortunate, but it's what happened. I have a feeling this isn't going to be the first time.
So, I mean, there's a lot of controversial people, you know, some of which are in this room, but there's so many people who are figures out there in the world. Why do you think people are so fixated on you in particular?
I don't know, because I don't think my life is that interesting, to be honest. I was sitting back there and I was playing Minecraft before we came up here. I'm just like, I'm 20 years old and I don't know why the media is so focused on me, but it is what it is.
Pictures of puppies when he was playing Minecraft. Not exactly stuff that should be trending on Twitter. But so how has the experience with the trial and censorship shaped or changed your worldview? Has it made you more conservative? Has it?
Extremely. I see other people getting censored, and I see like people like Turning Point USA or David Roberts and other voices being silenced, your voice being silenced on the social media platforms. And I'm just like, they will report on, they'll promote the left all day long, but then when it comes to somebody who happens to fall in the wrong spectrum, they're like gonna bury them in silence, they're not gonna let their voices be heard, and I'm not okay with that. It's ridiculous, it's honestly, it's disturbing and sickening. I don't know how that can continue to happen. I don't know how we can continue to be censored and people can just be okay with it.
Absolutely. No one should be okay with the fact that blatantly false, you know, the media wants to talk about misinformation and disinformation, and yet they are the greatest purveyors of it. If you could talk to your 16-year-old self now, after everything you've been through, after all of this craziness, like, talk to 16-year-old Kyle, what would you say?
That takes a second to think about. Well, 16-year-old me was just living a normal life, and I thought I was doing the right things, being a police or a firefighter cadet. But what I would tell myself is everything can change. Nothing is permanent. Everything can change, and not get too comfortable because the world may go ahead and try to screw you in some ways or the other, but it'll be all okay in that.
Absolutely, you know.
Protesting Planned Parenthood, going out and
Every
going
change.
to a censorship rally. You can be attacked for that, for doing basic everyday things that you are entitled to do. And it's in our Constitution that we should be able to do these things. We have a right to as Americans.
Absolutely, we have a right to our freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and the freedom to assemble, which, you know, people don't want to see that. People don't want to see these conversations because I'm of the belief that if people heard more about your story and got to hear it from you and got to hear more about it, that perhaps some opinions would change. What do you think?
I think so. I've talked to some people, so I'm going to tell a quick story. So I was at a photo shoot with my girlfriend. She does modeling, and her makeup artist happened to be a liberal. And she was like, "Oh, hell nah! Like, I don't want to do this." And then me and her got to talking, and I was telling her my story. I was telling her what happened, and just it's so amazing to see how quickly somebody's mind can change. And at the end of that, she was giving me a hug and saying, "I'm so sorry for everything that you gone through. I'm so sorry for the media, what they've done to you. They lied to me, and I feel like I was taken advantage. It was like the media used me, and they believed that you were this bad person.
Hey, Steve.
Listen, at the time, 19-year-old kid who did nothing wrong.
And that has to be absolutely dehumanizing to have these huge media outlets with budgets outside of anything. Neither you or I are rich people. Budgets outside of anything either one of us can comprehend. To use that to attack a, at the time, teenager, now 20-year-old.
Absolutely. They continue to attack me, and this is stupid. It's really, really disturbing because they didn't just hurt my right to a fair representation, a fair trial. They put my safety at risk. They put my life at risk. There are people that want to kill me because of what the media has said.
Can you talk a little bit more about some of the things that you are having to deal with as far as that goes because of the media and the narrative that they have tried to push to the public?
I have to have security in most places I go. A lot of people want to hurt me. At America Fest, I was walking to the venue, I was walking to the convention center, and some car sped right past me, screaming murderer, and I was just like, I'm by myself, this is scary. What if somebody wants to do something? Because security is expensive, and I can't afford it 24/7 if we're being realistic, but it's just disturbing to see that some people believe it, and that people want to hurt me, people want to hurt my loved ones, and the people close to me, all guys.
And so there's a lot of us who have had to deal with censorship in one form or another, and a lot of us who have even had to deal with the media saying untrue, hurtful, false, damaging things about us. What words would you have for those of us in this room today who are going through those struggles, or even somebody who's the next Kyle Rittenhouse, who might be going through the same struggles, who might be under the same scrutiny and microscope that we've experienced?
I would say support independent journalists. We need to take over and abolish media. We need to stop supporting CNN, MSNBC. We need to show our view counts to other people like the Blaze or other conservative media platforms that aren't going to censor our voices, that are pro-speech, that will push any narrative, that will talk about anything. They won't have a one-sided opinion. They won't have a bias. We need to start focusing on people that are, I'm going to say, conservative media.
And I agree. I think independent media is absolutely the way to go. I think more speech is better than less speech. I think more speech is the answer to bad speech or things that we don't like and ideas that we don't agree with. And so I really want to thank you, Kyle. Thank you for being here. Thank you for speaking with us this evening. Thank you all for coming.
Well, we got a couple of really important announcements and a couple of opportunities. Cal, tell us about your nonprofit you're supporting. The Canines for Cops?
Yes, Canines for Cops, ran by a good friend of mine, Chris Michelle.
And what do they do?
They help support law enforcement by putting dogs in police departments, finding drugs, stuff like that, and also dogs in schools.
Awesome. So Kyle has agreed, and we can continue this past tonight, and we're also going to do something like this with Justin, so stay tuned here for a second. Kyle has agreed to do a hog hunt on my ranch, and we're going to auction that opportunity off, take a couple people with Kyle, and go hog hunting at Brushwood Rose Ranch sometime in the near future. And so I think what we're going to do is we're going to put that on an auction thing online and let you guys bid. And the proceeds for that are going to go to Kyle's nonprofit.
Not my nonprofit, but
The one you support. Yeah, the one you support. Right? And if anybody wants to give an opening bid for that, we'll take it right here. Opening bid, if not, we'll put it online. All right, I'm going to ask Justin somewhere to come up. 400 is opening bid. Thank you, sir. We're going to continue it on because it's getting late, so we're going to do that online and continue it. Where is Justin at? Sheffield. There you go. Come on, Justin, you mind coming up here real quick? So these two gentlemen, give their time and money to do it for K9 for Cops. And Justin, tell us a little bit about your organization.
Hey, all Eagles Oscar. It's a call sign we'd say coming off the battlefield saying that all American forces are okay. So we pass it out to the aircraft usually. All Eagles Oscar, I started it when I got out, broke my back, bent up my head, on all kinds of medication, pretty much addicted and by anybody's standards and alcohol. And we found this place, it's a brain treatment center. They use magnetic resonance. Sounds kind of scientific and weird. I don't know all the details about it, but I can tell you that it works. The vet goes there for about 4 weeks. He does 5 treatments a week. So, 5 days he has a weekend off. He or she, we've treated hundreds of vets. It's about, cost us about, we got it down to about $5,000–6,000 now for the guy to go through it, and their lives are changing. A lot of guys are suicidal going there and come out as brilliant as they ever were. But that's what we do. We've been doing it for about 6–7 years now. So I appreciate y'all that have supported it too. Thanks.
So we're going to do something with Justin too. He's agreed to do. So maybe we can intertwine these somehow, maybe fun. But Justin has also agreed. At Brushwood Ranch, we have a really cool outdoor fireplace that overlooks a big lake. And so we're going to do a night of shooting. And then after the shooting's over, there's going to be bourbon and cigars. So we're going to make that available, and we'll promote that and get that out to everybody. But appreciate your support. Thank y'all so much for coming. Thank y'all. Y'all be safe. Drive home tonight.